Good afternoon. Welcome to Licensing Subcommittee on the 9th of September. Can I just go through the protocol for remote hearings? Only speak when invited by the chair. If you wish to speak, please raise your hand and via the chair. Please ensure that your mics are muted when you are not speaking. When speaking, please be succinct and do not exceed the allocated time frames. If referring to any written submissions, please refer to the specific page number in the agenda pack. Any new evidence can only be submitted at the discretion of the chair and the agreement of all parties. If you're having any technical difficulties, please use the chat function to alert the meeting or dial in using the details in the invitation. Please do not use the chat function for putting formal questions to the subcommittee. Any persistent disruptive behaviour will result in removal from the meeting. Once the application has been considered, any remaining parties will be asked to log out of the hearing. Please do so promptly so that councillors have the opportunity to deliberate and make a decision. The licensing service will be able to inform each party of the skeleton decision within 5 working days. If I can start off with the first item on the agenda, can we elect a chair, please?
I nominate Councillor Smith.
Great, thank you very much, Councillor Troughton, and welcome everyone to this meeting today. Just trying to find the front page. I'm online today, so you have to bear with me on the scrolling. But yeah, this is Tuesday, the 9th of September at 2 o'clock. There it is, just for the record. Hope that's visible on there for you. There'll be an agenda on the inside sleeve of that, sort of online or physically, whichever way you're looking at it. So we'll just go around to introductions from members and officers. First one, Councillor Smith, Councillor Stoke Newington Ward and also Licensing Chair. Councillor Troughton.
Hello, I'm Lynn Troughton. I'm a member in Kings Park Ward and member of the Licensing Committee.
Thank you very much. And Suba.
Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Subha Sriramana, Principal Licensing Officer, and I'll be presenting the report. Thank you.
Fantastic. Amanda.
Good afternoon. My name is Amanda North from Legal Services, and I'm supporting members this afternoon. Thank you.
Fantastic. And we'll just go over to the police. Amanda, please.
Good afternoon, Chair. Yeah, Amanda Griggs, representing Police Licensing.
Great. And Sergeant Ryan.
Good afternoon, Chair. I'm Sergeant Kerry Ryan. I'm Sergeant for London Fields Ward.
Fantastic. And Channing.
Good afternoon, Chair. I'm Channing Revere, Principal Licensing Officer and representing the Licensing Authority today.
That's great. Anwar is our IT expert. Thank you, Anwar, for helping us with this. And then I've got some others on the screen here. Just to say, Amanda, lawyer, do we want to introduce the others on the screen here? The ones that are observing today.
Oh, yes, sorry. Yes, Chair, there's 3 lawyers from our litigation team in Legal Services who are just observing because they may be assisting with the committee at different points. And so that is Simon Swanson, Paula Hudson, and Ade Sackett.
Okay, that's fantastic. Great. Well, thank you for that.
But they're not participating in the meeting. Thank you so much.
Great. And then on my screen, I mean, we may as well just do all the introductions now because we only got one item. I've got Hisham.
Yeah, my name's Hisham Rana, Environmental Enforcement Officer for Hackney Council.
Okay, great. Thank you very much. And Simon. Simon, are you there?
Yes, hi, sorry. Good afternoon, Gilbert. We're here. This is Reese Rose, agent acted on behalf of Simon and proposed DPS for Donny's Donors.
Okay, great. Thank you very much for that. Excellent. Just writing all this down. Suba.
Chair, we got Hisham Rana on the call, but that item has been withdrawn, which is for his representation was for 14 Kingston High Street. Because the applicant has withdrawn the representation, I think he can leave the call.
Okay, I can't see them on screen.
Is that Hisham Rana?
Hisham.
Yeah, that's...
Okay, Hisham, I don't believe you're required for this then.
All right then. All right, thank you very much then. All right.
Okay, see you later.
See you later.
Okay, great. Okay, so we've done the introductions, which is good. And we can move on to the agenda item now. So agenda item 1 is picking the chair. We've done that. Agenda item 2, apologies for absence. There are no apologies today. Item 3, declarations of interest. Do members have any interest to declare? I don't have any. No, great, thank you for that. Agenda item 4, minutes of the previous meeting. Can members approve the following minutes of the meetings held on the 4th of August 2025, the 14th of January 25, the 29th of October 24, and the 1st of October 24 as an accurate record of the proceedings? Can we agree those, please?
Agreed.
Thank you very much. Agenda item 5, hearing procedure. We'll just go through this very briefly, how it works in steps. Sort of 5 minutes for everything really, apart from the discussion, which is 15. Step 1, appointment of chair. Step 2, the principal licensing officer will outline the report. Step 3, the applicant will present their case over 5 minutes. Step 4, there'll be responsible authorities against 5 minutes for that. Then there'll be other persons. Do we have any other persons on the call today that we know of? No. Okay. We have read all the submissions, by the way. I've done a summary of them here, so we can go through that when we reach that stage. They would get 5 minutes each if they were here. Then we move into a discussion phase over 15 minutes. Step 8, final points of clarification. And then step 9, that's it. Meeting's over. We'll go on to consider it. So, everyone happy to continue? Yep, good. Okay, Suba, please, could you outline the report, please?
Thank you, Chair. So the item we're going to consider this afternoon is for a premises license received under the Section 17 of the Licensing Act 2003 for the premises Donny's 2 Westgate Street. The premises seeking permission for late night refreshment from 2300 to 30 past 1 on Thursdays and from 2300 to 3 a.m. on Fridays and Saturday. The Environmental Enforcement have withdrawn their representation based on agreed conditions from 8 to 30 as set out within the report. Representation remains from police, safer neighborhood, licensing, and other persons. And I have nothing else to add. Thank you, Chair.
Okay, great. Thank you for that. I think you're happy to move on, Councillor Troughton, yeah, to the applicant. Fantastic. Okay, over to you, Simon.
Good afternoon. I'm going to speak on Simon's behalf, if that's all right, Chair.
Yep, go for it.
Hi, Chair, Committee and responsible authorities. Thanks again for taking the time to hold this hearing. As described in the introduction, we're basically only applying for late night refreshments from 2300 on Thursday, Friday and Saturday to 0100 Thursday, 0300 Friday and Saturday. It is for basically a very small capacity kebab shop, which has got 10 seating spaces or so inside and space for 10 people queuing at the counter to get their bits and pieces. That should all have been in the description in the application. But if you need any clarification on that, please ask us. We'd like to reassure you that we understand there'll be no regulated entertainment permitted, and that any previous DJ-led music was for the invite only and opening and press nights. There's no sale of alcohol and no alcohol sales to help address Channing's representation. And we know that they've not been applied for. The off sales was referring to permission to sell food for home delivery. With regards to planning permission, we paid a planning consultant to investigate, and there were no restrictions on the business hours found anywhere in the planning history for this premises. I've actually got some details of that elsewhere, but it's a different set of laws, as you well know. So it would be down to us proving that to planning, I guess.
Yep.
We accept additional conditions from environmental health, and they've withdrawn their rep. We accept the additional conditions suggested in Rep B2 from the Met Police, found on page 143 of the digital agenda pack. We're also happy to add a condition regarding safer spaces. We will gain accreditation from Hackney Night scheme if the license is granted. We're happy to discuss timings and additional control measures with the Met Police team and committee. In response to the residents' reps raised from C1 to C7, we've engaged an air conditioning contractor who's inspected the fans and ducted into the rear of the premises. They've provided a letter confirming that they're working within the required standard limits. I think it was 60 dB at the fan, which would be 50 dB passing the residents' bedrooms. They're also going to provide regular 6-monthly servicing as required under HSE regulation for food ducts. We have just received and are installing acoustic tiles on all the rear windows of the premises, which have been shown in some of the residents' reps, so that the light will be blocked out, and hopefully we will be blocking some acoustic noise. We are happy to continue taking measures until there is no noise getting out of those windows that cause the problems. So Taking on board other concerns raised in regards to light and pollution to the rear of the premises, street cleanliness, outdoor congregation, and noise and nuisance, etc., we proposed a set of volunteered conditions to address these points, which is to address C1 to C7, our volunteered conditions. I sent you all an email about 10 minutes ago, 5 minutes ago, I don't know if it's landed yet, that has a summary of all of this.
Okay, so have you got that? Sorry, Simon, I'll just pause the clock here for this.
That's all right.
So did you see that email?
Sorry, was it 10 minutes or the one which was forwarded to the case officer? Is that right?
No, just sent it just a minute ago. Oh, where's it gone? Maybe I didn't send it. Is it in my drafts outbox somewhere weird? And let's start sat in my drafts. This is just for ease for you guys being able to see it all. I think I've got everybody on there.
Yeah, just send it.
Yeah,
what's your name, by the way? I didn't catch your name.
Reese.
Reese, yeah.
Adsar Consultancy Limited at gmail.com. It should be.
Yeah.
It should be with you pretty much now. Basically, front door to be kept closed apart from entry and exit between 2300 and 0300. All windows to the rear of the premises in the kitchen and prep areas to be kept closed at all times while staff are cooking and preparing food or cleaning. No outdoor seating should be provided between 2300 and 0300. The premises shall clear litter in the street regularly throughout any trading day and with a final cleanup after the closing to 10 meters in any direction from the premises. Home deliveries will cease at midnight. Throughout this consultation period, we've carried out temporary event notices every weekend and consulted with the police team quite regularly on them. We've had 9 weeks of temporary event notices, 2 weekends of covering 4 days of 0300 finishes, 5 weekends covering 10 days of 0200 finishes, and 2 weekends covering 4 days of 0100 finishes. This was to allow the police to continually assess the impact of the operations and what effect they've had over that period. We're basically here to answer any further questions and provide any clarification required during the application.
Right. Thank you very much, Reese. Just on the, I just got one point here, a couple of points. Well, you mentioned kebab shop. That kind of wasn't mentioned in the application at all. There was no mention of kebab. It was just like a new restaurant project, takeaway, consumption on the premises, home deliveries. So we want to kind of nail down what exactly is the operation here at these hours. You know, is it just going to be a takeaway? Because obviously you've now said that you've offered up that voluntary condition about home deliveries will cease at midnight. So are these people walking in off the street, grabbing a bite to eat and then walking away? Or are they coming in to eat in the restaurant? Is it a combination of both? Is it sort of slightly hybrid? You know what I'm getting at?
Yeah, absolutely. So basically, what page is it? It's like page 168 or something. Let me just see if I can find it. Right at the very end of the public reports pack, there's, I think, is that where our plan is? No, must be much further up than that. Down the right hand side as you come through the door, there is a counter with high seating, which is designed to allow up to 10 people to sit in a row and eat and then leave. It's not like it's designed for sort of relatively high volume, quite quick turnaround. And then in front of the counter, if you were ordering and waiting for food to take away with you, there's a space for about 10 more people, and then the premises would be full. So it's kind of a fast turnover food offer.
Yeah. So it's kind of edging towards more of a takeaway kind of thing. Takeaway food establishment that is a restaurant.
Yeah.
At that time of night. I mean, obviously in the day it might be different the way it operates in the daytime to nighttime. And then just one last question. You know, when people grab their food or whatever, in your experience, what do they tend to do, Simon and Reese? What happens? I mean, do they tend to walk away from the venue? I mean, how far do they walk away, or do they tend to just grab it and just sit around Nettle House? You know,
I'd say there's a mixture. I'd say that people do use the seating we have available, which I actually think is quite a benefit, especially for sort of young ladies waiting for taxis and things like that. And then some of them will package it and take it home. There's probably quite a mix, really.
So the seating, when you say seating available, is that the outdoor seating or?
No, that's indoor sort of bench seating. The best.
So they work.
So just for you to visualize, I'd say it's maybe something that if you go in a Subway sandwich shop or something, there's a counter and then a kind of shelf with about 10 stools on it.
Yeah. And just in your experience, do most people tend to do that, would you say? Or is it just a 50-50 kind of? 50-50?
Yeah, I'd be guessing, but I'd say something something like a 50-50 would be my best guess. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Councillor Troughton, do you know any points of clarity at this stage?
Thanks, Chair. So you say that you're willing to cease the home deliveries at midnight. So, well, I've got two questions around this actually. So, in terms of the home deliveries, what means of transport do you use, and how is that managed?
Yeah, the reason that we want to cease the home deliveries at midnight is because we want to kind of preempt any problems with the residents and with congestion outside, and home deliveries are often on scooters from delivery drivers, which I know can cause a bit of noise and stuff like that. So we just thought that would be a nice point to concede ahead of the meeting.
It'll allow.
So then going on from that, so you anticipate then that everyone coming into the restaurant between 12 and 3 will be eating in the premises or taking their food off the premises to eat somewhere else?
Yes.
Okay. Thanks, Chair.
Okay, and just one last question that's prompted me there. In terms of glassware that they can take away, because obviously, we've become like a more interest in sustainability, single-use plastic and all that kind of thing, reusable plastics and stuff. What do they take out? Bottles a lot, or is it what is it?
So there's a very, very limited number of bottles. There's one, we stock this independent cola brand called Karma Cola, who do use glass bottles, but everything else, all of the drinks are canned from a local soda supplier called Dalston Soda, and then all of the bottles are sort of brown sustainable cardboard.
Yeah, I think Karma Cola comes in tins as well, doesn't it?
Sorry, no, I'm getting this mixed up. It's not Karma Cola, it's called Fritz Cola. It's like a German kind of version of that.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Sorry, yeah. But yes, maybe it does. But yeah, so the kind of bottles of Fritz Cola. But again, if that was going to be an issue or something you're worried about, I'd be quite happy to stop the sales of that at midnight or something.
Yeah, it's just that glass was mentioned a bit in some of the other persons' representations. Councillor Troughton, thank you for that, Reese, and Simon. Councillor Troughton.
So, thank you, Chair. So, you have people queuing. So, how do you manage issues around smoking and people outside the premises? Because if you have people queuing, sometimes one person would be queuing and other people would be waiting outside the premises. So, do you have any plan around people waiting outside the premises?
At the moment, it's just managed by the actual team that are in there. I think you've got about 5 people on.
Yeah, at that time of night, it's obviously the busiest period for us while we've been doing the test events. So whilst we might only have one person on through the day, we normally have 4 people on during those hours on the Friday and Saturday night, and one of them will be front of house and used to manage that situation. Yeah.
I mean, we've just been doing quite a lot of number crunching, which I know you're not allowed to consider because it's not really your problem. But we were trying to figure out if we could afford to offer to put an SIA member of staff on. And we think that if we were granted till 3 a.m, we could afford that, but not if it was any earlier than that. And we haven't actually had a chance to talk to Kerry and Amanda properly about it yet. But we were suggesting that if it was granted till 3, we'd be able to put a member of SIA on a Friday and Saturday night to make sure that we had somebody as a presence at the front door to address any issues in the street, manage people who are in the direct area of the premises, and keep an eye out for people who are vulnerable.
Yeah, well, that's definitely like a good offer, for sure. Quite often, the SIAs are quite integral in that kind of like holistic approach to keeping this. I mean, it's not their responsibility, venues, like to keep the streets safe. That's the police's job. But if they can help in a kind of holistic manner, sort of 50 meters beyond the premises, whatever, just asking people to move on and stuff like that, that definitely helps a lot. Councillor Troughton.
Thank you, Chair. So you would have seen all the representations from local residents. There are quite a few. How have you engaged with local residents up until now around, the concerns that they've raised?
We've put quite a lot of measures in place since we received the representations. I might be missing a few here because I think it's all outlined in Reese's email, but we're I think
you've been talking to them. That's what you actually in person.
Yeah, I've spoken to a few of them in person. Yeah, we did an invite-only launch party where I've got a background in the music industry, so just as a kind of launch marketing thing, we did an invite-only launch party and had a DJ playing, and I spoke to them first and made sure they didn't mind it happening for 1 hour from 6 till 7. Yeah, there were a few complaints about noise and things, which has now made me. I know we wouldn't be able to do this anyway as part of the license and restrictions, but I just want to make sure that we had very low background only music. We've put plans in place already to have soundproofing put on all of the windows, to put light proofing, which will effectively be the same thing on all of the windows. And yeah, just make sure we minimize any disturbance as possible.
Other than some conversation that's been had face to face, there's only been this process that we've been working through. Is the answer for communication at the moment?
Okay. Would you be willing to consider a condition about background music?
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Okay, great. Thank you. Councillor Troughton, is that a legacy hand? Are you still?
I've got another question.
All right.
Yeah. So residents have complained about, you know, the smell of fried food and stuff coming. So you've got an extractor fan. How does that extractor fan address food smells?
So the extract is to the rear of the building in a shared light well, and I think the problem with the shared food smell is probably because the previous business went bust and that the extractor fan was already in place. It was a Chinese takeaway before it was its current iteration. So I think people have got used to there not being a food smell. The extracts run all the way up the rear of the premises to above the levels of the residents' windows, as is required by planning. And they, like as I said, we've just had them serviced inspected rather than serviced, because they were all found to be running correctly. So 6 monthly servicing is required to keep the fat and the grease out of those very long tubes under the HSE guidance, so that you don't cause a fire. And the actual town planning requires you to go all the way above the height of the houses. All of the extract is already in place from previous planning applications.
Yeah.
So are you saying then that that the extractor fan does go above the residents?
Yeah.
Okay. But that maybe it was not working effectively, and
it might. Like, I've come on board to help tighten up the operations and be the DPS if we get it granted. So one of the things that we've definitely put in place since we had these original complaints is that the staff have been forbidden to open any of the windows that face onto that light well anymore, to reduce sound and noise. And as I said, we're adding additional treatment to that. So I could understand that the window that was direct to the rear of the cooking area, if that was open, you would get deep fat fryer smells and smells going up the building. But we've basically locked that window off so the staff can't open it, and the same with all of the rest of the prep areas out of the back. So what should be happening now is the extract should be taking it all the way up to clear above the actual residential premises.
Okay, Councillor Troughton. Remember, we're not in the discussion phase at the moment. We're not in the discussion phase at the moment, but carry on if you need to.
Like, it was just a question around. I don't mind. I can save it if you prefer, but I
Yeah, I think we're just getting a little bit we're going down this extractor fan route. And Javiera, I did notice you wanted to come in. Is it a quick comment about this?
Yeah, hi. I'm a resident. I'm just below Donny's, and I don't know if I can comment now or should I wait?
You're going to get a chance to come in a minute.
Okay.
So you can come in and just say everything you want to say, yeah, in a few minutes. Brilliant. Thank you for that. Okay, thank you, everyone. So if we could go on to responsible authorities now, please, and I will start with Sergeant Ryan and PC Griggs. How do you want to work this? Do you want like 2.5 minutes each or something, or is one of you going to take the whole lot?
I'm quite happy to let Sergeant Ryan start, and then I can fill in any bits from a licensing point of view that are of concern once she's done.
Okay, Sergeant Ryan, over to you.
Hello, thank you. My representations are on behalf of the London Fields ward.
Yeah.
I work very closely with the Hackney Council enforcement officers and with the residents. This area, Westgate Street in particular, we've seen a hotspot for thefts, snatches and robberies late at night when the premises in the nighttime economy area are kicking out onto the street. We've worked very hard there to try and combat this issue. But my fear is that another premises that's going to be opening late is going to encourage people to loiter in the streets, which obviously gives these gangs an opportunity to pick at other victims, basically. And I've said all this in my representations. We've worked with the door supervisors in that area, so it is quite nice to hear that SIA is being considered. My thoughts are on the closing time. I think 3 o'clock is at the last time that the last venue there closes also, and that is when at that time is when we're getting the most people out on the street and the most issues, not just with the thefts and snatches, but also with ASB, with urination and things like that, and noise in the street. I would be happy for the venue to stay to open until 2 a.m.
Okay.
That would still give everybody time to disperse, find their way home. But I would also like to see SIA there so that they could work with the SIA on the other venues to work together to clear the streets. Because although you did say that keeping the streets safe is a police problem, I think it's also down to the venues to take some responsibility around that as well. Because we can't be there 24 hours a day.
It does say that in the guidance. It sort of mentions it like a holistic kind of approach to that. Yeah.
So that's all really from me.
Okay, PC Griggs.
Thank you. Just to add that we did discuss when I met with Reece and Simon about using the space as a safe space, and if they could give a bit more information about how that would work and the idea a bit about that would be great when we get to the discussion bit.
Yeah.
They have, I will acknowledge, they have had temporary event notices, and we, as a licensing unit, haven't had complaints about the temporary event notices, and they seem to have run okay from a licensing point of view. However, I think more residents do tend to direct any comments more to PS Ryan and her team. We obviously welcome the delivery of ceasing at midnight, because I know delivery riders can cause an issue. And obviously welcome the offer of SIA as well. Timings I will leave to yourself, Chair, and the committee to discuss.
Okay.
I don't think there's anything more that I've got that I need to add at this time.
Okay, great. Thank you for that. Just one point of clarification to Simon and Reece. On the test you've had, how many punters do you get coming through sort of in those hours, roughly? On a Friday and Saturday night, just a rough estimate.
I could roughly work it out by the take-ins, given that we get about during those hours, if we say that we're doing maybe 750 quid's worth of business, and then there's maybe £15 a head average spend or something. So what would that be? 50 people? Is that 50 people? I think that's 50.
Yeah, someone nail that on the calculator just for us.
Yeah,
that'd be good.
50. Yeah.
Yeah, I should have been able to work that out. But I'm chairing a meeting that says so about 50, you reckon? Okay.
That's 50 to 75, maybe, yeah, something. 50 to 75, maybe, yeah, something like that.
Okay. Councillor Troughton?
Yeah, it's just a quick question for the police. Because in your report, you do say the police would like to note the impact of the TENS on the local area. So you say there haven't been any complaints, but can you be a bit more specific and say whether there has been any impact as a consequence of the TENS?
From the licensing point of view, we've not had seen any impact. We've not had anything back to us specifically. Whether, say, Sergeant Ryan has had anything more from her side, I don't know. But we've certainly not had, as a licensing unit, had any complaints or any information back.
Yeah. Sergeant Ryan, do you have a comment on that?
I mean, we have had plainclothes officers that have kept an eye on the road, and it has been discussed at length in our ward panel meeting for London Fields. So the concerns are still there in regards to what impact the TENS had. I mean, we obviously saw people staying in the street longer, but nothing in relation to crime, to be honest.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, let's move on then to Channing.
Thank you, Chair. You can see my representation at Appendix B3, which starts at page 41 of the online report. So some of the points I raised have been clarified by the applicant in relation to alcohol sales, regulated entertainment, etc. We've still had no sight or real discussion about delivery management plan and how that's going to operate. Understand there's a suggestion that, you know, maybe 2 a.m. might be acceptable. I mean, in our view, we'll still be looking at core hours from our point of view, should members be minded to grant the application. I understand the premises have had temporary event notices. Temporary event notices are not a panacea or a sort of wide bar. It's a very small sample size to use to grant a license that's going to exist in perpetuity. And I think you find, I know you was just touching on complaints in relation to the TENS. If you were to go to page 48 of the online pack, which is a resident submission, which is Fix My Street, where they alleged that the premises is operating without a license. They actually had a temporary event notice on this day. So that's where that complaint has come from. It was during the operation of underneath the authorization of a 10.
Okay.
So it's, for us, there's still some issues there with regards to the hours in particular. There are other licensed premises in this area, and the possibility for people to congregate and create a nuisance still exists. That's where the risk to the licensing objective actually can come in. So from our point of view, what we've requested in our representation is to bring the hours closer to LP3. The applicant has made some reference to the planning status, although again, we haven't seen that. And also we haven't had sight of the delivery management plan. So there's nothing further for us to add at this stage, Chair.
Yeah, Channing, just on the delivery management plan, the fact that they say they're going to stop home deliveries by midnight, does that mean you would still like to see a delivery management plan, even though it's midnight, they're going to stop at now?
I mean, what days on midnight are they going to stop?
I think you said Friday and Saturdays, didn't you?
It would be Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, or like any day that we've got the later license, we would stop the delivery service at midnight. So like the rest of the week would be 11 o'clock as is required because we don't have the late night refreshment. And then if you, I did send an email, which I think you copied into, Channing, which has got the conditions which we have accepted from Amanda, which actually requests that we produce and show a late night delivery plan to people. So we would still be writing that up, and we've agreed a condition for it already.
Okay, that sort of answers the question. Great, thank you very much, Channing, for that. Okay, any points of clarity from you, Councillor Troughton, at this stage before we bring in Javiera? That's a great name. I hope I'm saying it correctly. Okay, Javiera, you've got 5 minutes to make your representation.
Hi, I'm Javiera. It's Spanish. So thank you. Yeah, just live just above, below Donny's. We share a courtyard, so our windows are in front of each other. And just to clarify, so we also like speaking above all our neighbors in 4 Westgate Street. We're just next to them, and we never been approached by Donny's by any way. We weren't invited to the lounge event. I emailed Donny's many times, my husband as well, and we've never received a reply. And for us, it's been actually, I'm just gonna be really honest, like a nightmare to live in our flat since like Donny's opened. There's strong smells. Actually, the previous restaurant was a Chinese restaurant, but they were like far more respectful with the neighbors. They always answered our complaints. The smell was like much less noticeable. And since John is open, we cannot open the windows of our flat. And yeah, and that means that when it's really, really hot during the summer, we weren't able to sleep at all. Also, the lights are on throughout all the night until like 3 or 4 a.m. in the morning, because after deliveries and after customers, they keep like cleaning the place. The windows are open as well all the time, 24/7. And yeah, so we basically are exposed to lights and noise like till really late in the morning. So for us, it's been like a really and it had an impact on our quality of life. And actually that we're considering moving now, because we are like tenants, and I think we are definitely not enjoying our place, and we cannot use like the courtyard. We have a courtyard here. We chose this flat because of that, and we cannot even open. And I know, yeah, they mentioned that there were some repairs or like improvements in the fan, but I haven't seen them. And until today, like I just can open my windows when they're closed. So if you, if they got this license, it could be like much worse, because the first months when they opened without a license, it was like a nightmare for us. We couldn't sleep. So it's a shame, because we haven't been approached by them at any point in time, and they are aware that we are like deeply affected by them. So yeah, and for us, we have also like raised many complaints to the council, and I think like the only way to solve this is like not granting this license, because late night refreshment for us would be like even worse. It's already like bothering for us like to have them operating in day, so at night will be like even worse. And I'm sorry, like I would love to have like a good relationship with them, but they don't approach us as like neighbors. So it's been hard. So yeah, I don't know. I don't have anything else to add. Just that.
Yeah, just a question on those. You mentioned 3 o'clock in the morning. Were those during the 10s that they had? Those situations, or did that happen?
Yeah.
There's one thing that I've noticed on the window, Simon and Reese. On the window, you've displayed the times. There's a photograph of it. I don't know if that's still on there, but the times relate to what's on the application, sort of, which implies that you might have been opening.
Actually, like sometimes I have some pictures of like opening at 4 a.m. in the morning. The lights and the noise and the kitchen is like until like 4 a.m. sometimes. Not even like those like exceptional, I don't know the name, but exceptional like requests that they have made. So in the beginning it was like going on, right, because they were operating without a license. But like it's so obviously it has improved after like they started to this application, but still it's like 12 a.m. in the morning is a lot if you want to go bed at like 10 or 11 and you can just open the window and ventilate at 1 a.m. in the morning. That means like you are losing like 2 hours of sleep. So I don't know.
Okay, well, thank you for that. I mean, basically, you've heard from. Sorry, I'll say your name again. It's kind of the English pronunciation of your name.
No worries.
Yeah. You've heard from Javi. We can go into the discussion phase now, folks. So, Councillor Troughton, do you want to just maybe start it off, or do you want me to start it off? How would you like to do it?
No, I'm fine at the moment.
Yeah. Simon Reese, you've heard from the resident there kind of directly about how they feel living next to you guys or the premises. What can you say to help with the situation here? I know you've offered up some of these conditions already: front door closed, windows closed, no outdoor seating, home deliveries will cease at midnight. It seems to be. And you did mention light as well. I think that you're trying to mitigate against light and with the windows closed, noise and things like that. On the smells, you've tried to reassure us on the extractor fan. It's not particularly our area of expertise, but we need to be happy that it's not causing a problem. So I think what I'm asking you really is for reassurance around some of the stuff that Javier is talking about here. If that's all right.
Yeah, so basically, hi Javier, I think you arrived just after we'd already gone through our introduction, so you might have missed some of the conditions that we were volunteering to try and address some of the issues that you had, which is that I'll just run over them quickly again, if that's all right, Chair, so that I'll yeah. So basically, the front door would be kept closed apart from entry and exit from 11 o'clock to 0300 if the license was granted that late. All windows to the rear of the premises in the kitchen and prep areas to be kept closed at all times whilst staff are cooking and preparing food or cleaning. No outdoor seating shall be provided from 2300 to 0300 if the license is granted. The premises shall clear litter in the street regularly throughout any trading day, with the final clean-up after the closing to 10 metres in any direction from the premises. Home deliveries will cease at midnight. And then I think you also missed, like we've got a contract with an air management company for the systems, and they've been in and tested them and said that they're operating at the levels that they would expect a system like that to run at in terms of noise from them, and that they're clean and they're working correctly. So I mean, I've got a letter doing that, but obviously if it's affecting you, then we need to be in better communication. So we can talk about that in a second. Also, like, if the windows have been open, then I could understand how that was helping create additional smell and pollution. So we're going to lock all of the windows, and well, we already have done. We've told the staff they're not allowed to open any windows. We can put window locks, and it doesn't make any difference. So we'll make sure that they are shut. And we've already they only arrived today, but we've already had some new panels that we're going to stick onto the glass areas of the windows, which will completely black them out and will hopefully reduce sound, because they're supposed to be noise reduction panels. I think the sensible thing for us to do would be to give you an email address right now, again, because we've just checked the emails from Donny's. For some reason, we don't have anything anywhere in any of the junk for it, but we would be happy to give you a telephone number and an email address like straight away from Simon, so that you can get in touch and come and have a discussion with us and see what we've done with it. But I mean, I'm really sorry to hear that you're having trouble, and we're only aware of it from the licensing application, and like nobody's like approached Simon either from that side of it until the application went in. Environmental Health hadn't been in touch with us to let us know about it until we actually put the license application in. So I think there's a bit of a failure of communication on all sides, and we would like to resolve that and try and be more in communication with you, basically. I don't know what the best way to do that is. We could condition it, Chair, or we would just swap numbers now.
On the extractor fan.
On communication.
On the communication, yeah, we could have a little condition in there that, you know, maybe like regular 6 monthly meeting or something, or at least the offer of you know, a communicational channel, whether it be by email or text.
The signage in the window, like there's a contact email and telephone number directly for Simon in the window if anybody's got a problem with anything. So that
and just on the safer spaces element, you mentioned Hackney Nights, so you're prepared to work with Hackney Nights and go on some of those training courses to work out, you know, how to sort of manage people when they're sort of intoxicated, if that makes sense.
Amanda asked me to try and find a way to make that make sense for her. And are we in the discussion phase now? Yeah. Okay. Amanda asked me to try and make sense of that. So I looked around, and there's like Safer Spaces is a national program that it's kind of been independently started by people who care about welfare, but it's been picked up by the Hackney Nights team, and they offer courses for Ask for Angela and welfare in your premises. I'm an Ask for Angela champion. I've done the courses with Hackney Nights for the Marquee Moon when I was DPS in there. Yeah,
it's been more sort of harassment issues, I think, really than you know what I mean, like, because there's no alcohol involved. Be more sort of, you know. Yeah,
so ask for Angela and welfare end of it. So what we've already done, I mean, I don't know if you can see this is a photo of the sign that's in the window. So just for anybody in the street, just says we're a safer space, come in and see us. Yeah.
All of the staff have already been trained to offer free drinks, soft drinks, obviously, to anyone that feels unsafe outside, which actually would be my opinion that we were helping with any crime issues in the streets. We're providing some free soft drinks and a space for people to wait to taxis until they arrive.
Yeah, and just on the food, actually, you know, you did mention kebabs. I mean, is it mainly is that why you call Donny's, because it's like a doner kebab shop?
That was the idea. Yeah.
So I presume that's where a lot of maybe the magnified smell maybe might be coming from, because it's like a big block of meat or whatever you're cooking on the.
Yeah, potentially. I mean, I'm not sure on the relevance of this, so forgive me if I'm kind of rambling here, but it might hopefully appease Javier and anyone else that we're actually cutting down on the kebab element, and we're only going to have one piece of meat now instead of three, so there'll be effectively a third of it getting cooked as well.
Okay, well, that's interesting. Any further questions from anyone else? We have sort of covered quite a lot already, but Councillor Troughton.
I just wondered whether anyone could tell me what the occupancy of Nettle House is. Are there any residential units?
I've got a pretty good idea. I don't believe there's any residential, but I have been approached by them to do deals for the office workers through the day, and I believe there's a few thousand, something like 2,000.
Yeah. Yeah, rented out as offices in the daytime.
Yeah, I don't believe there's any residential.
Yeah. Okay. And just Sergeant Ryan, Sergeant. Yeah, sorry, Councillor Troughton.
Sorry, just one more. Just for the applicant. I mean, what is the earliest hours that you would consider closing on a Friday and Saturday? You know, because obviously you're seeking to extend your hours.
Can you just take 2 seconds to have a little chat? Is that okay?
Yeah.
Yeah. just because.
Because all we can do is grant or not grant the application. But you know, if there's going to be any scope for negotiation, that's a question that I need to.
Yeah. Okay. Well, you can go and chat about that for a second, and just Sergeant Ryan. Just in some of those further kind of mitigations that they've offered up, those voluntary conditions, closing windows. Yeah, I can hear something. Where's that coming from?
No, it's the background here. Sorry.
All right. Yeah. So Sergeant Ryan, just all the stuff that they've mentioned in the kind of voluntary conditions that they've put forward. No home deliveries at midnight. You know, cleaning the litter outside. The offer of an SIA, which might not work until 2. They said it would work until 3, but maybe not till 2 financially. So we need to just work out if that would be the case. But having heard all of this stuff, on reflection, you know, are you feeling slightly more comfortable with things, or still worried?
I would be more comfortable if it was 2 o'clock with SIA. I mean, this area is not just a busy area within Hackney. This area, I mean, every weekend we have to put a dispersal zone in there, so that police can actively come and remove people from the area that are causing a nuisance under the Antisocial Behaviour Act.
Yeah.
So, you know, this isn't just, you know, another busy high street or somewhere where there's a lot of nighttime economy premises. This is a specific area that, you know, we have to manage with, you know, giving police the powers to remove people for 48 hours if necessary because of the problems that it's caused. But like I said, I mean, I'd be happy with 2 a.m. because it means that we're not at the same time as the last closing there. With SIA, you know, actively dispersing their customers, and maybe people inside, like takeaway only after a certain time, so that people inside aren't also coming out at the same time as their last orders, if you know what I mean. It doesn't have to be a massive amount of time, just enough for them to be empty.
Would feel free to like give me your honest opinion back, but would 2:30 even make much difference, given that's half an hour before the latest venue opens? It's just obviously for a business like ours, that last hours could be the busiest, you know. So
to be honest, I don't think it would, purely because, and I've stood outside there many nights, and it does take a good hour. I mean, all those premises opposite you are all staggered. I think it's 1, 2, and 3 or something like that.
Yes, yeah, 2:30, 12 and 1 sort of thing. That's
yes, it literally as it kind of starts to quieten down, then the next one opens, and then the next one you know, closes. So it does kind of go on and on and on, which is why it, you know, and right at the end of the night is where we've got those issues.
I think Sergeant Ryan, that we would ultimately be happy with 2 if it meant the license was granted, and it would obviously mean that you would be a lot happier as well.
Yeah.
And you can do that with SIA, because you mentioned that it might be difficult, but she still wants an SIA.
It might be tight with the SIA.
Anyway, we can go there in the discussion when we talk about it later. Councillor Troughton.
I've got a quick question for Javier.
Yeah.
When the restaurant was run by the the previous tenants, what sort of problems did you have, and were any of them unacceptable?
Mm-hmm. Hi. Just smell. That was the main issue. Nothing else. They close at 10 p.m. So it was like much nicer. So it didn't have any major impact. Also, the smell wasn't kebab. So it wasn't like lamb. It was just like fried chicken from time to time. It wasn't that like dense. Like kebab, lamb is like very greasy, so the whole air, my clothes are like smell like lamb now, so it's quite different. So the only problem was a smell, I think, but noise, we didn't have any issue. And because they closed at 10 p.m., it was like nice, it was okay. The problem is like the lights, the noise, and all the activity until late hours, actually.
Okay, happy, Councillor Troughton, with that?
Thank you very much, Javier.
Okay. Channing, so I know that you're going to come in with closing remarks and stuff, but have you heard anything so far that sort of makes you feel slightly more?
Chairs, there's not really much I've heard in terms of what promotes the prevention of public nuisance, like that objective from being undermined. I can understand, all right, you want SIA, trying to deal with the extractor, have a delivery management plan, but there's a lot of issues that are raised in the representations from the residents that I'm not sure that those measures are going to tackle if they're going to operate till 2 or 3 in the morning. So we're not convinced entirely that they can operate to those hours in that location and not put the objective at risk. So that's our view on it at the moment.
I suppose it's kind of about the cumulative impact, isn't it? Because there's stuff going on there as a result of all those other venues that might not have anything to do with these guys. But the fact that 50 to 75 people on a Friday and a Saturday night would be sort of additionally in the area eating food potentially either on or off the premises, that's your probably main concern, isn't it? That it sort of would add to the cumulative impact of the.
It's another addition to what's going on, and that creates the further risk to the objective.
Yeah, and just on deliveries, guys, in terms of like just stuff, like goods coming into and waste collections and things like that. What times do they happen at? I mean, normally it would be sort of silent between say 11 and 7 at least, and maybe 11 at night and 8 in the morning.
Yeah, that's kind of like normal office hours.
Yeah, so that's how you operate. Okay, great, fantastic, excellent. Okay, any further questions at all? Javier, would you like to ask any further questions? Yes or no? No, you're okay. Councillor Troughton, any further questions? Okay, I think we've had a good discussion about this so far. We've had various conditions mentioned. Those voluntary conditions, obviously, Reece, we'd have to add into, but we've got the document which you've sent us, so that's all there. There's a few additional things, maybe background music only. You've mentioned you might take that if we were to put that in. The invite to residents for a meeting or whatever, some kind of contact notice in the window, condition like that. We don't need to sort of do restriction on deliveries because you're already operating within sort of business hours on that one for waste and sort of delivery of goods and supplies and things. Comms with neighbours, talked about that one. and then obviously the SIA situation and the police at 2. Yeah, okay. So we just move to closing remarks then. Channing.
Chair, I was just going to say, if members are minded to put a condition that requests to have a meeting with neighbours,
yeah,
could we suggest that they have a contact details available at the front of the premises, because that's easier for us to basically test and enforce. If members are minded to grant a license, it's quite difficult for us to check someone's organised a meeting.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you for that, Channing. And Amanda?
Yes, Chair. I believe that the applicant's agent did say that they have already in their window contact details if anyone needs to contact them about concerns. So I don't know if that's already in place.
Okay.
We can condition that, but it's in place from when I started working on this project. It was one of the first things that I asked them to do.
Yeah. And just on the SIA again, just at 2, you said that was going to be tricky and tight, whatever. I mean, the police, Sergeant Ryan is kind of insistent on that. Really, she thinks it would really benefit the area, and it might give you more chance to get the license, maybe. So I don't know what you think about that.
Yeah, I mean, it's obviously again, I'll try not to go off topic and be irrelevant. Obviously, the margins are just really tight. So if you're paying someone £20 an hour for a 4-hour shift, that 80 quid could be a big chunk of your profit. However, if it was to get the license, then it's such an essential.
You should at least try.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you for that. Okay. Great. So let's move on to closing remarks then. I know we've you don't have to be. You can be brief. So let's start off then with Javiera. Just your closing remarks. Have you heard anything, Javiera, that gives you a little bit of reassurance? I mean, I know you're thinking of moving out of that place. It's quite severe, kind of, thing going on in your life here. So we want to make sure that we can try and help you here to make sure that this venue operates without causing the problems that have been raised. That's what we're trying to achieve here. But have you heard anything that gives you sort of reassurance? Or are you still really worried?
So, I mean, I think, like closing the windows, controlling the light, the noise. Yeah, those are like quite nice measures. But like the impact at like really late in the morning is going to be, really early in the morning, it's going to be disruptive for us neighbors. And also, I didn't mention that much this before, but also against there are going to be like more people outside, like things that you already discussed. But for us, that's also like a problem. Like, I don't know, waking up at 7 a.m. on a Saturday and it's like full of rubbish and people around. So I don't know. I think it's so obviously. Thank you for the measures, and I think that those are minimum measures for our restaurant to operate without disturbing neighbors. But I don't know if those are measures that will enable us to have a restful night until throughout the night, because it's 2 or 3 a.m. in the morning. It's quite a lot, actually. It's early, and we just are a few meters away from them. So it's quite an impact. So I appreciate the measures, but I don't know if they're going to be enough.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you for that. Okay, Sergeant Ryan.
Yes, Chair. I think everything's been discussed that I've mentioned. Just the earlier finish, the SIA, and maybe considering takeaway only after a certain time, just so the people inside and the closing time.
What time would you suggest for that?
Well, I think maybe just half an hour before the end of close, just to make sure that that's empty, so it's easier for them to close and everyone's not leaving at the same time.
Okay. Yep, got it. Perfect. Thank you very much. PC Griggs?
I just agree with everything Sergeant Ryan said. Really, perhaps shutting that inside seating area perhaps a bit earlier, just to get rid of them as well before you close completely, might help with dispersing everybody. But I think everything's been discussed. There's not much more for me to add.
Okay, thank you very much. Amanda? Lawyer.
Okay, I just wanted to double check that you that the police are saying that they want closure at 2 and or is it 2:30? The last order's at 2.
Yeah, I think this is takeaway is probably 2, isn't it, Sergeant Ryan?
It'd be closure at 2, and so maybe the takeaway only after 1:30.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Thank you very much. And then we have Channing. Closing remarks. I know we sort of heard from you already, but you can go for another minute or something.
Yeah, not really much to add, Chair. Given what we've heard, we'd still be inclined to suggest that, you know, if members were minded to grant the license, then it should be LP3 core hours.
Okay.
Nothing further to add.
Okay. Excellent. Thank you very much. I mean, obviously, Simon and Reese, you know, like you've heard and read all the different sort of complaints about what's going on from, you know, the responsible authorities, from the residents, from the licensing team. It's all there. Now it's up to Councillor Troughton and I to go away and make a decision. But we need to be confident as much as we can that we're not going to get any trouble from you guys. You know, and like there's a few things that are self-evident here. One is the extractor fan and the smells and the noise. I know you've had it serviced and stuff, and it seems to be fine at the decibel level. Smells thing, like, it can't leak. Those fumes have got to be going out above all the buildings. You know, whatever you need to do, you just need to fix that if it is leaking. Sometimes these things just leak, you know.
Yeah, we've had it serviced, but in fairness to Javiera, that was very recently. So I'd be very keen to get feedback on it going forward and continually make sure that it's fine.
Yeah, because I think that's kind of an important sort of feature of your business, isn't it? Getting those smells away from those residents. Really, I think that's quite critical.
Yeah.
As well as obviously all the other things, but that's kind of a big one. Okay, folks. I mean, I think if there's no more points of final clarification, I'm just looking around. We can draw this item to a close. So, look, thank you very much.
Did we get a sum up?
Sorry?
Did we get a
Oh,
sum?
yeah, sorry. Of course you do.
I'll be quick. It's only a minute I'm allowed, isn't it? Just Amanda can clarify this. Under the Deregulation of Live Music Act, we're only allowed to do any regulated entertainment if we've applied for the sale of alcohol as well, and most of the things that are there. So even though we get a premises license, we would be breaking the law if we did any regulated entertainment. I know you want to condition it, but I think it's already illegal. Feel free to put another condition in.
After 11, it would be illegal. Up to 11, it's fine.
No, because you need the sale of alcohol and a lot of the deregulation, and we haven't applied for the sale of alcohol.
Okay, maybe Channing, you want to come in on that?
Check that, but feel free to condition it as well. I think you're doubling up on the law. We ultimately will be happy with the SIA to help manage the street and all of the problems that you're saying. We've had a little chat about it, and it makes sense that we come in and we actually try and support the work that the police are doing in the area and try and make sure that we are causing as few problems as possible.
Yeah.
We are happy with the 2 a.m. We're going to step back and concede that last hour. We are happy to put in a dispersal policy in the conditions, which we would agree with the police, which obviously clearly I think we need to talk about a stage to put dispersal policy with maybe 15 minutes eating up time, but with like last orders, a certain amount of time before for the food, but we could negotiate that directly with the police as part of the policy, if that would be all right. I mean, I don't really want to sound too picky about it as well, but there's a couple of the residents reps that say that we've actually improved since we first started, from when we put the 10s in, like on page 156, it says that we've improved on paragraph 2, and on page 161 it says that we've improved since we started in the temporary events notices. So with only one resident here, it's hard to get a full gauge of the number of people that have complained, but we would like to work directly with Javiera and try and make sure that we're not causing these problems so that you don't have to move out. So I don't know if before we finally all sign off, can we just make sure that Javiera's got Simon's telephone number and an email address? Is that possible?
Yeah, can they use the chat? Is it possible to use the chat? Suba or Rabia, can they use the chat function?
Would it be okay for the details to be sent to the licensing service and exchange with them? Because I think
yeah, okay,
that's fine. Yeah, of course.
Yes, so if you could send them to Suba, thank you.
Yeah, then you can just pass those on. Sorry, I missed you guys. Didn't mean to. Have I got everyone? Rabia, did I get everyone? Yeah.
Yes, I can confirm you have.
Brilliant, excellent. Thank you very much. Okay, So that's the end of this item. Thank you very much, everyone, for attending. We should go off and deliberate and just go on to have a good rest of your day. I think we have a final agenda item, which is agenda item 8, temporary event notices. Just to inform the subcommittee that 10s at 428 Kingston Road has been withdrawn. So there's no 10s. So there being no further business, I'm going to draw this meeting to a close. So thank you very much, everyone. Is that a hand? Very quickly.
Very quickly, Gilbert, I would just wondered if you'd heard anything about the hearing from the other week on a completely different thing.
Can't talk about that here.
That's what I was thinking. Yeah, well, I just haven't received a letter for it yet, but I'll go chase them up. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much.
Yes.
Great. Okay, so everyone can sign off now. So it's good to see you all. Yeah,
thanks
thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Take care.
Afternoon.